Lions fans, I'm so happy right now. You don't understand. I haven't been this excited for a move yet in free agency. And I was hoping that the longer that this went on, maybe just maybe there was a chance that he was still trying to see what he could get on the market. He was trying to see if there was a team that was maybe going to give him a long-term deal because I wasn't sure how that was actually going to work with Detroit. I didn't think we would be willing to give him a long-term contract. And honestly, from his perspective, I don't know that that's exactly what would have made the most sense for this player in this case to sign a long-term deal here when you look at the future outlook. But he's coming back on a one-year deal. Levi Onwuzurike. So let's get right into it. So yes, we have some breaking Detroit Lions news, and I'll try to keep this video short. That way I can get the news out to you. But I am so excited about this news. Levi Onwuzurike is reportedly signing a one-year deal worth $5.5 million, according to Ian Rappaport. Now, of course, we'll get the deals on this a little bit later in time. But Levi coming back is such a massive get back for the Lions. He's coming off his best season as a pro this past year, showed a ton of flexibility this past season, inside, outside. And while he was the player that early into the free agent process, I just wasn't sure what the Lions' opinion would be on the player. Did they view him in that category of when he's on the field, he is truly a good player, have good players as the above average players? And I think across the board, Levi falls into that category, if not more, based on this past season. Then he would have those games like the Minnesota games where he took over towards the end of the year. And yes, it was a beat up offensive line that wasn't fantastic for Minnesota, but he had a massive performance. And it was the flashes like that that gave me Lee McNeil vibes when he first did that to the New York Giants. And it was like, wait a minute, he's capable of this. And then obviously we know what Lee McNeil has become, and we saw that last season until he was injured. So Levi had that performance last year. And now he signs a one-year deal to return to the Detroit Lions. And I think that this is just so important for us. One, of course, the flexibility that he's going to bring in the meantime while we wait for Ali McNeil to come back, that he can step into that role. He showed he was capable in the second half of the season to step down, be our defensive tackle, play the Ali McNeil role, play into the three technique for the Lions. But as we know, he showed a ton of flexibility as well. He played up and down the line of scrimmage, played some defensive end to begin the season. And I really thought that coming into the year, the approach they took with Levi was really trying to lean into his strengths, lean into the power that he plays with, let him play at defensive end, let him be a true pocket collapser, and lean into the fact that he's a really good athlete for a guy at his size, that this could work as a big D end. But ultimately, the flexibility is what stood out when you watched Levi throughout the year. He proved that he was capable in playing that role for the Lions, but by the end of the season is when I was the most impressed. It was the consistency on the inside. It's the improvements as a run defender, not falling behind blocking schemes consistently, his ability to stay with a better pad level, play with more consistently in his movement skills. That way he could work down the line of scrimmage and scrape down the line of scrimmage. Then, of course, as a pass rusher, I touched on the consistency that he had at 45 pressures in the regular season alone for 600 snaps. This is such an important get back for the Lions, not only for next season at the beginning of the year and what that's going to mean without having Aleem McNeil, but when Aleem comes back, the flexibility that he offers to find a way on the field. I also view Levi as kind of our third down. He's the interior defensive lineman pass rush piece. It makes me think of what Philadelphia had with Milton Williams. The guy was playing less than half the snaps, but he was that guy that could take Jordan Davis off the field, and he could rush from the interior when he knew it was a pass down. I think Levi added that value to the Lions. So losing him this offseason was going to be so difficult. And I was kind of prepping myself that it was going to happen after the first day of free agency, just because of the numbers that we saw across the league. Javon Kidlaw, what he was getting paid, that the Lions weren't going to go that route. I wasn't really confident Lions were going to say, here's 3 years, here's 4 years. And that Levi on the flip side would be even interested in 3 to 4 years with the Lions because, number one, the price point may not be as high because the Lions have a Lee McNeil in place for long term. But to get it done on a one-year deal, or maybe even 2, was the way that this was going to happen if it was going to happen. And as we see, that's what happened. So I'm sure that he was trying to see, what other teams were willing to offer. Maybe he did get some multi-year deals. It wouldn't shock me at all, but maybe just not at the price point that he's looking for. So he decides to come back with another opportunity to continue to prove himself. And if he puts another season like he did this past season together, there's no doubt in my mind that as a 27-year-old right now, he can still be in line to get a massive deal. I mean, we're still seeing guys get massive deals that aren't even coming off of great season. Minnesota has paid 2 older interior defensive linemen this offseason. Jonathan Allen, I didn't think was a fantastic signing, if I'm being honest. I like Javon Hargrave. He's a great pass rusher, but they've gotten massive contracts. So Levi still is absolutely in a spot to get paid, especially if he performs well early. And he's also staying, of course, with the defense that he's familiar with. But I think that a guy like Casey Rogers is going to really value Levi. I think Casey Rogers is going to love having this piece because of the flexibility that we saw with Tampa Bay, right? The ability for guys to play inside and outside with Levi's kind of size, the ability to play under and over front side of an offensive guard. His flexibility, I think, is is to be so valuable with his length, his explosiveness. He fits what the Lions look for skill set wise, and I think he's truly one of the best stories in the NFL. His path to getting back to what he did this past season was incredible. I mean, for a while, me and Rad would joke about it, but it was like, hey, what is his future looking like? Like, I mean, when are we going to see it? And this past year, man, this guy has continued to grind, find his way back on the field, and I believe that he absolutely deserved this contract. This was one of those guys that, like I said, early in the process, I really wasn't sure that where the Lions were going to be on this. But the more I thought through it, and we did our mock all seasons, both times I was like, dude, you got to bring Levi back. It just makes too much sense. And we saw this defensive tackle group just thin out so fast. Levi was a standing out sore thumb of like, yeah, he's still young and he's coming off actually a good season. Like, he's just standing out, and the Lions were able to bring him in. It feels like when we drafted Iffy. I mean, the guy's just standing out amongst the group, and we're able to bring him back. So I'm pumped that Levi is coming back. This is going to be huge for this upcoming season. He still gives himself an opportunity to earn a long-term deal here or elsewhere, continue to provide that flexibility, maybe even try some new things on the front with Casey Rogers, but be in a still attacking style that has the length to give those umbrella looks and move up and down the line and be our sub-down package pass rusher, which Philly lost to $26 million a year that the Lions are bringing back for 5.5. I think this is fantastic. I truly, this is the most excited I've been for any move by far. It's not even close. Now, Kevin Zeitler, we'll see. I might get there as well with Kevin Zeitler, depending on if that happens. But to me, this was hands down like the let's get this thing done. And after yesterday bringing Roy Lopez as your true backup nose tackle that I believe is going to kind of take Chris Smith and what he brought to another level. You can give him about 20 snaps a game. You're going to be comfortable that he can take on that role. And as I said, I think he'd be part of the future, maybe not as a starter. I think Broderick still has starting potential in his game, but he could always be a rotational piece that could actually stick around long-term. Levi now more clarifies what his role can be, playing a little bit wider and leaning into his strengths. I'm just pumped for this. My biggest need in this offseason was defensive tackle. I wanted to get two of them. Lions did it. Roy Lopez and Levi Onwuzurike. My second biggest need was cornerback. Lions did that day one. So for me, I'm happy. Now, number 3 was offensive guard. If they can get Zeitler back, we're sitting pretty. But we'll see how that shakes out. All I can say right now is I am super happy that Levi is coming back as a Detroit Lion. I'm going to leave it right there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm going to try to get those out fast with maybe less clips. I'm just so happy. I don't know what to do. I feel like I don't know what to do with my hands right now. I'm just so pumped. Levi, welcome back. Thank you, Pride, for watching. I'm out.